I prepared a text. I don't know if I will use it, but the beginning for me is interesting, and perhaps also for you. So in the beginning there was imagination. And then there was a line, or was it light and shadow, perhaps color? And what about style? Is style something that comes by itself, or do you have to search for it? Perhaps a personal graphic language is a better definition than style. Can illustration be more than a picture in a book? Anyway, imagination is the power for creation, but for me, you also need skills. Skills are very important. So in this short, very short lecture, 20 minutes they said, and mostly I speak for hours and hours, so in this short lecture, I will talk about how I make my illustrations, where it starts, how it starts, but also about my struggle, about my doubts, struggle with pencil, with scissors, with ink, and I will also talk about my philosophy concerning illustrations and illustration of children's books, especially children's books. So I will talk as an illustrator, but also as a teacher. I'm teaching in Ghent, in Belgium. And finally, I will show that illustration can be much more than pictures in a book. That's for the end of my talk. I hope we will arrive there. So don't worry, it will take less than 5 hours. Okay, let's start. I will do a test with you. Take 3 lines. Simple lines. Bend them a little bit. And then put them together, closer. What will you have? A landscape, or do I hear something else? A way, yeah, could be. Okay, for me it's a landscape. I stole this, it's not from me. It's from a friend of me. It's an author, Joke van Leeuwen. I admire her very much. But, yeah, that was also imagination. It's very important because when you see the line, with a little help, you make a landscape. It's the same way children do, and imagination for an illustrator, an artist, is so important to imagine another world. But that's what you know already, I think. Anyway, this landscape, if you imagine me as a young child in this landscape in Belgium, many years ago, could also be you, but now it's about me. I'm a very small child. We didn't have a lot of books at home. My parents didn't read. Books are very important especially for children, because they give them a way to communicate. But we didn't have books at home. Only once a year, we had a choice, or we could go to like a kermis, I don't know in English, like a merry-go-round, sit on the merry-go-round, or we could choose a book. Only that type of book. And for my mother, this was the Bible to educate her daughters, especially her daughters. So this was my future already. I hated it. I don't know if this character exists in Greece. Do you know her in Greece? What's the name in Greek? Was it Lola or something? Okay, in Flemish it's tiny, tiny, tinny. Anyway, I loved the pictures because the pictures made me dream, made me give hope of another future than this future. Like here, the seaside. I also had a bikini. My mother knitted a bikini. I should not explain what happens when you wear a knitted bikini and you go in the water. Okay, so that's what happens. And I was really so jealous of Tini because she had a beautiful bikini. She had also a doll, a black doll. It's 1955. So Belgium still has his colonia in Congo or Zaire. But anyway, even I hated the character, the books give me also some dreams, some expectations. And every summer we played, my sisters and I, we were 3 daughters, we played the stories of Tini. And if you see there, Tini is playing theater, we did the same. So it made us dream, it stimulated our imagination. My sister, eldest sister, was always Tini. The other one was a servant, and I was the black boy, always. That's me. So you can imagine, it suits very well with my costume. Anyway, the books give me a dream of becoming an illustrator myself. That was the first thing that triggered me. Helaas, I make totally different things, as you see. But I couldn't copy the style of that famous illustrator. So I had to find out how I will do it. And it was a long struggle, it was a difficult struggle, and I was always thinking of a style. And I see it also with my students. They say, oh, I didn't find my style yet in the first year of their education to become an illustrator. And then I say, style isn't important. You have to understand how a picture will work, how the composition is, how you bring movement in your picture, how you build up a plan, the plan in front, in the middle, in the back, and also imagination. So style will find you. Don't look for a style. It will come, or it will never come, or it will come late, whatever. And that's a very important thing to say to youngsters. I always say, everything is done already, but not by you, not on this moment. And also for myself, it's a mantra that I say very often, everything is done already, but not by me, and not on this moment. So it gives me a freedom to discover a beautiful world of pictures. Anyway, so after a long struggle, because I wanted to become an actor, later on I will talk how acting and theater came in my life later on. But I thought I will make pictures. But even now, I cannot make a book just to make a book. I need, there should be a need, and the need comes from everywhere. And especially a need, for me, it's mostly a social need. Long time ago, I think 15 years ago, they asked me in Belgium to become a children's laureate, to promote books. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want to promote arts in general for children. And they say, okay, fine, that's good. And I thought very often about children's books, but also how to talk to children. And for me, it's very important not to underestimate children. They live in the same world as you do, as we do. They see things, they see the war in Ukraine, they see ecological things, they see also that the Queen is dead and so on. And they will ask you things, and books can help. So for me, I try to open conversation with the children by making my books. So I need, or the need to make the book is very important. Like in this book, Stella, you saw the pictures perhaps in the exhibition. Thank you for being here, and also thank you, illustradays, that you invited me. Beside that, we go back. So Stella started when I heard an interview on the radio with Italian, how do you say it, saviors? Who are saving children, people who fell from a boat in the water. And I was looking on internet for pictures, and then I saw these pictures, and it hurted me very much, especially the one with the child in the water, because with a little bit imagination, it could be promotion for Club Med. Blue sea, brilliant colors, but it's a dead child. And so I started to think, how can I talk about this issue to children without being sad or without being moralistic and so on. It was not easy to do, but I think it became a good book, I think, an important book. And how do I start? I make a mood board. One of my favorite painters, it's a Belgian one. So also mosaic from the Netherlands. And I sketch, and I sketch, and I sketch. My sketches, my books are so small, so I make very, very small sketches. And also for illustrators, it's very important. I say it to my students, to make small sketches, because you're thinking and drawing, and when you have to do it very big, it takes time. But when it's small, you think very quick, and you go to a next picture, and then you go to a storyboard. So my books are small like that. And here you see how I build it up, and I put the numbers of the pages, because also pages are limited. And then I go for characters. How will I do it? And it's always struggling, doubting. But it's the thing I love to do the most, even if it's hard-working and with a lot of pain and sorrow and bleeding. And I very often start again. So I did my sketches. I always love my sketches. And it's hard to do the transfer for a finished illustration. So I thought I will cut out and then do the line drawing. I will make it on a computer. And when I saw it, I thought, no, I have to also cut out, paint, and to build it up like that. I showed the picture there, the photo of the man, because perhaps there are some illustrators here. I'm still doing model drawing, because it's very important to understand a movement, to give some dynamic position in a picture, not static. And sometimes I'm there with a stick, and I look to myself, okay, my legs are like that, I feel here tension in my leg, and here with the stick, and how is the position of my hands. So it's very important to be the model yourself if you're drawing, and if you don't have a model who helps you for the positions. long time ago. I was a model myself when I was studying. I did it for the money, but because I was also drawing, I understood very well what is interesting in a movement, in a position. So I always tell it to my students, to do the movement themselves, to understand the body. It's your body. You really can touch it, do it. It's different to take a stone. It's another way to do it than to take a paper. So remember that, very important. Anyway, so I started like that, cutting out, line drawing. I didn't like it. And then I went on. And you see it over there, everything, every detail is cut out, except the pastel of the sky, and all the other things are cut out, because it gave me a freedom. The moment that I discovered to work with cutouts, I felt free. Before it was always doing again and again and again. Somebody should help me when I had like 7 different pictures, and then I asked somebody to help me to choose, and one day somebody was there and he asked me, is this a quiz? Is this a contest or so? I don't see the difference. Are you stupid? You do it over and over and over. And then I thought, yes, I'm stupid. I have to find another way of working, and so I started to cut it out. As you see it here. About the story, so it's about a man and a woman. They found a child in the sea. The child doesn't belong to anybody, and they decide to educate the child. Everything goes very fine, and the child is a blonde one, because I didn't want to talk about different color or hair or anyway. But she grows very quick, and so she will become different from the other ones. And at a certain moment she will become dangerous, because the long arms and legs are dangerous for the other people, and at the end she decides to go away and to find a place for herself that suits with her length. And that's my story about people who come here from other countries. We accept them, and at a certain moment when they doesn't integrate very well, or they are a little bit difficult, or give problems, we push them away. That's what I wanted to tell in that story. I made a sequel. The parents go to search Stella, that's the name of the girl, and they had to, there are a lot of problems on their journey on the sea, in the boat, ecological things and so on. A lot of my books became theater. I'm very happy for that. Mostly I rewrite the text for the theater. In this case, I didn't do it. Perhaps I should have done it, but too late. This is also inspiring. I will show it. Oh, I love it. So beautiful. And here is the second, some pictures of the second book. So ecological things and so on. So when I think of a children's book, it has, I want to feel the need to tell something. The same with this book. It's about anxiety. A boy who says, I'm not anxious, I want to meet somebody and some monster. And then, there it is again. I shouldn't mention monster, I think. That's why it disappeared. No, joke. Finally, he will discover some monsters and he will be scared. And then the grandmother, who is dead, she says, the power is here, in your body, use it. It's a funny thing. It's a power of farting? Okay. You go on. This was the moment that I was thinking, I have 2 daughters. I was thinking if I would like to have a 3rd child. And I was imagining a couple, a man and a woman, and the woman says, I want a child, I want it now. And the man says, if you want it now, I will go out and find one for you. And he goes out and he thinks, I will find a child. But he doesn't find a child, but he finds something that he thinks, perhaps my wife won't see the difference. And then he comes back. This picture is a little bit later. Anyway, he comes back, and it's also a story about what happens if you have a child, and the child is not perfect the way you want it to be. In this case, the child is a wooden child, and at the end, the woman, she will accept the child as he is, and she will love him. And but in the beginning, she is, she says, no, it's wood, I will show you it's wood. And then I also do the position with the... This picture, my editor didn't want to have it in the book. She said, it's too dangerous, it's too scaring for children, so we will remove it. And I said, no, I really want it in the book, it's important. And when I tell the story to children, and I'm telling and so on, and they always want to see a picture. Oh yes, oh blood, they want to see blood. No, there's no blood. So children are not different than you are. There are different children, the same as all of you are different. So don't underestimate the children, very important. Here you see how I built the things, so cut out, coloring, painting, and so on. Also here, this is the story, the moment that they, in the beginning, they were scared, and then there are some leaves. Yeah, there's blood, yeah. Indeed, the leaves, and she accepts the child. There's also a play. They made a play of it. Very funny, but so touching. I'm always in the middle of the audience to see what's happening. And one day, I was it was a family audience, and I was in the back of the theater, and in front of me there was a couple, a man and a woman. And the moment the woman accepts the wooden child, it's very touching. And then I saw the woman and the couple in front of me. She lay her head on the shoulder of the man, and he was, oh, I started to cry. Oh, it was so touching. So that's for me also very important. I have 3 important things for my books, for my work. The first thing is I work for an audience, children. If it's children, it's children. That's important. I have it in my head. The second thing that is very important, the adults, the teachers, the mama, the papa, and so on, because they buy the books and they will read the books, and they also want to have like a level, perhaps a level more complicated than for the children, but an extra level of humor or other things. So they also need interesting things in a children's book. And then myself, I want to be happy with the book. So if one of those 3 things is not okay, I failed. I'm very demanding in that way. Another play, Subkinders, I go a little bit on. Sometimes I paint. This is a book about empowering girls. I made it when I was talking a lot in classes where there were a lot of young girls, Muslim girls, and I thought, oh, what will happen with those girls? And then I thought perhaps I should make a book about princesses who don't want to become princesses, but who want to discover the world. And that's all my books are kind of fairy tales, because in a fairy tale everything is possible. Now I'm working on a book about snow, and yeah, it's another thing. Anyway, it's a book where a dog can speak, so everything is possible. We go on. La la. This is a funny one. One day I dreamt of an animated book, and one day an author asked me to make a silhouette for a character he wrote, Paperman, Mr. Paper. And he asked me, can you make some drawings for the book? And I thought of it. I'm very curious, so I was triggered if I could find a way to give an answer. And I did a cutout of a silhouette. Les Ormar, this is very quick done last week. Anyway, I really wanted the same silhouette of Mr. Paper. When you fold it, the arms, the legs, you can move it in all directions. And so I made a book. And years later, 10 years later, they decided to make a series of animated films. Now we will have another 26 episodes. We made already 26. And it's very philosophical, but it's very funny to do. These are other things. Oh yeah, I have to say something about that. It's a friend of me, Bart Moyard, who asked me to make drawings for his book. Yes, the cover has to come first. Can you do something with a pattern, like you see it over there? Okay. I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 proposals, and finally it was this one. So no squares. So that can happen, that you work and work and work, and then they decide to use something else. Here you see how I put everything together, silhouettes, scan it, line drawing, and put the colors on computer. I go quicker because my time is almost over, and I want to show something about theater. This is one of the very last things I made. It's a book about a letter who goes from hand to hand, and my editor, a French editor, said, perhaps you should think of the letter who goes that direction, and the answer comes back, so that people or children can read it from the beginning till the end, and from the end till the beginning, because there are also children who start to read, because of their language in another direction. It was not easy to do it. I will not show this. Yeah, and these were tests, and this was also a test. So, and I did it 5 times, because it really has to follow up very well. The yellow letter goes from the beginning till the end. And the pink one is from the end to the beginning. And now I have to say something about yesterday. So I do a lot of performances. So illustrations can also be living illustrations. So my first love for theater made an evolution to text for theater, and not acting, only the text. And then a certain moment they asked me to make paintings or drawings, and I love to do that, because when you make a book you're alone, and you're struggling alone, and here you are with a team, and it's so nice to have the feeling we are working on something that has to be very good, and I love it. And also to project on walls and ceilings, and I'm very concentrated. I prepare very well, and I'm very concentrated as well. So I really forget time. I'm in the music. It's mostly with musicians, sometimes with actors, and I did it with a lot of people. So you see what I do. We have also like a trio El Azuzi. This is with overhead projectors, and this I did. It's very hard to see it. This is better. I did it in a chapel, the Royal Chapel in Brussels, and I did a projection on the ceiling and on the pillars. It was wonderful. And one of the very big things I did last year was the Peer Gynt Suite, 2 hours and a half, with 120 people on stage, musicians and so on. And I was one of them. And it was very hard to do, because I had to follow the text to make my illustrations, to follow the music. But when it's done, whew, drink. Yeah. This was in France, Carnaval des Animaux. And this is one of the last things I did, also in an old chapel. And it's blending with the walls, so it becomes magic. And then I come back to the beginning, imagination. When people look to those things, they are in an atmosphere, and I hope imagination will be triggered. So the last thing I will say is, as I said, my mantra for the young people, the writers, illustrators is, everything is done already, but not now and not by you. Don't forget that. It gives you freedom. So thank you very much, and never forget, all of you, that one day, long ago, you were a child. So when you work for children, think of that. Think of those questions. Anxiety, happiness, when you were a child, and perhaps you will understand much better the position of the child. Thank you.